night with the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
$30.
Yeah, and it's an indie game, but it took off like crazy. They could easily charge more for it, but it's not done, right? So they won't really put that $6 price tag on it. But $30
there are games similar to it. PUBG is just an online game. It's only an online experience. So if they don't have servers, it's not going to work. But there's also games just like that. Isn't there a Call of Duty that's only online? There's no single player. Battlefront. Some Battlefront games are only online. There's no single players. So and those games charge $60. So it's hard to say. Oh, well, I'm only paying $30 or $40 for this game because it's only online. Or it's only single player. There's other people who've done that, and I guess it's maybe they're a bigger IP, they have more market share, that they can charge $60 for either an online or offline kind of game, but it's just not right. Exactly.
The first Titanfall was only an online game, $60.
Yeah.
So that doesn't work for me. But speaking of current gen, you pay $60 for that disc and that box. That's not the whole game ever.
Right.
Ever. Now, we're talking, I guess I got two examples of this. Games now are not $60. Games now can easily run you $100. Easy.
How so? Explain.
Well, you have a game like Star Wars Battlefront where the game was $60, only online, right? No single player. But the season pass was $50. Which at the time was the most expensive one ever released. $50. That's a $110 game. And you couldn't even buy the DLC that you wanted or the characters piece by piece. They were like, you get nothing or you're paying this $50 to unlock basically skins. You know what I mean? That's kind of insane to me.
Now, Corey, you played the Star Wars. Did you partake in any of that?
I did. I did not purchase it. It was gifted to me, the season pass. And it was, honestly, it was a must to enjoy that game.
Okay.
That game was rushed, and it's been told to us all, the game was rushed, of course, because that's when the movie came out. They wanted it out by then. It was not finished. All the extra maps, all the extra characters, that should have been in the game. There should have been a single player. Absolutely. The game was fantastic. I absolutely love it. And I'm really looking forward to the second one because they're taking their time. There's going to be a great single-player mission, storyline in it. And you could eventually buy the expansions that you wanted for like $15 a piece, but it just didn't make sense if you pieced it out that way. It was great, but I felt like everyone knew we were getting taken advantage of.
Okay.
And it's a shame how games now, in order to participate in the full game, you're right, it's running you $110. What I don't see anymore, because the three of us, we all worked at GameStop. We know the cost of games and a lot of things about like collector's editions. Actually, I see a decline in collector's editions. A few years ago, all the big title games, there would be $100 or $120 version of a game, but you're getting all this extra stuff. Statues, art books, extra skins, like everything. It's not really additional game content, but more tangible things. And hey, okay, I'll see spending $40 or $50 more because I choose to want more stuff. Now, that's gone. Companies don't even care about giving you more stuff. It's just like, you want to play the full game, now you got to pay $110, $120 because we've got DLC planned for the next year that really should have been included in the game, but we know you're going to pay for it.
Right. And one of the biggest offenses it's come to the genre that I love, which is fighting games, because there's no way that your fighting game characters aren't ready. There's no way that they're not there. You know what I mean? You're paying you're paying for an unlock key to unlock fighting game characters, and Injustice 2 is actually the biggest offender right now, which was, there's a picture, when you go to buy the game and it's like you get the full game. That's what it says. There's like 3 tiers. Full game, $60. The next one up was plus 3 characters, was like it was like $90. And then the next one up was like $120 for 9 additional characters. So it's like, in a fighting game, I'm not getting the full game without all the characters to play as.
Yeah.
It's very simple. If you want to hold back skins or colors, you know what I mean? Do you want Superman to wear green and white? Fine. I really don't need that. No one needs that. Mind you, in the past, you would have to beat story mode to unlock a color, beat story mode on hard to unlock a better color, or
Marvel's Capcom 2, you played the game like 50 hours to get all the characters.
Yeah, you had to go to that roulette. You had to go to the roulette, and everything was in there. Now, can you imagine if they release that now with that many characters to unlock? What was there, like 30, like 20 or 30 guys?
A ton of characters. Yeah.
So you would be paying for all of that. All of it now. And they did it with Street Fighter Cross Tekken. A bunch of guys were unlocking the characters because they were already on disc. I remember going to a tournament and all the DLC guys were playable like a month before because people found them on the disc. And it was like, what are you charging me for if they're here? If they're here. You're not balancing them anymore. They're here. And you can put out a balance patch whenever you want to change that stuff. But when you have, so let's look at a game that $60 was probably the best value for $60 I've played in the past. I can't even remember, which was The Witcher 3.
Yep.
The Witcher 3, I put 100 hours into without touching any DLC. I didn't even get close to doing everything, but at my pace and how I personally enjoyed the game, it took 100, maybe like 110 hours. That game for $60 is easily, and mind you, you could do the same thing for Skyrim, right?
Right.
Yep. A long time, but I just found The Witcher to be just holy crap as far as the amount that you got. And the DLCs that they released for $20 were like 20 hours long. That's a ton.
You're stealing from them, it sounds like.
Yeah, they are providing just a ton of stuff. So you'd be paying $20 for skins and characters. I paid $20 for 20 additional hours of story, which is that's insane.
And that's what DLC I don't think any of us mind. The game comes out, It's got a lot of content, and I don't even care if it's a lot of content in the forms of like, give me a 10-hour third-person shooter game with a storyline, like The Last of Us or Uncharted. That's fine. But have the DLC come out a year and a half later, 2 years later, and give me some more content. I do not mind playing that. But if you got the content out when the game comes out, there's an issue. Like Resident Evil, right? That was the first one that I remember where the content was actually on the CD.
Yeah.
And you just had to pay to unlock it. Whoa. So I'm paying for this content twice, technically?
Absolutely.
That is where I know a lot of gamers get upset.
Right.
And Resident Evil, I think it was Resident Evil 5, the content you unlocked was like a multiplayer mode. You know what I mean? Like a versus mode. Like, how is that not in there? How is that not in there? But the age of unlocking things is mostly completely gone. That just doesn't exist. And this brings me to another point of, like, it only happens in this industry, right? You go to the store, you buy a game, you look at the box. Okay. Only to go home to realize that as soon as you boot it up, you get a splash screen that says Season Pass, $30 to unlock this stuff. Now, mind you, the stuff could be on disc. It's there. Extra maps, like shooters, I guess it's like mostly extra maps and weapons. But like, I feel like that should be illegal. I feel like that should be illegal because you don't go buy a refrigerator, bring it home, plug it in, and something says, if you want to unlock the ice maker, phone Samsung and pay an extra $30. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Like back in the day, you wouldn't have done that. You would have bought a game. I would have bought Gunstar Heroes, and that would have been the game. I would have played it to unlock a new skin. Or, you beat it on normal to unlock hard, which had an extra level at the end.
Yeah, they got the full ending.
Right. And that was $40 or $60. Right. That was not $60 plus more.
Yeah. And in any case, you realize a game like Gunstar Heroes or Contra, you can probably beat in under an hour. But could you really? If you played Contra or something like that for the first time growing up, you're not beating that game the first time you play it. You have to keep starting over. But still, that that's just the way games were. So gameplay technically was a long time. It might take you. I mean, I didn't beat Battletoads. I was 26 years old. That was the best value ever. You know what I mean? But it kills me that it is not mandatory in that industry for you to put on the box what is missing.
Right.
Because it's already been come out that DLC is a planned thing that they know before they release the game. So I feel like, and we can have a whole podcast on this, but I feel like that should be like illegal for them to do that to you, because it's not good business practice in any other industry that we can think of. No, you buy a car, and to unlock the spare tire, you have to call them and say, hey, can you bring the key to unlock this? I have a flat tire.
Right.
So how do you feel, Chris, about the contrast in regards to, say, something like PS1, like a Metal Gear or a Siphon Filter, versus like a Call of Duty, and the cost?
Well, yeah, like those games had a lot more. They were story games, so like you would experience that yourself. Whereas Call of Duty, you're playing online. Online could be an unlimited amount of gameplay. You know, but you're hoping that they pay for the servers, they keep them up.
Right.
You know, this goes kind of back to what you were saying about having a game on disk or on your hard drive. You know, like, am I going to be able to connect to the servers to play this game, or I have the disk so I can play it in 20 years as long as my console works, you know?
Yeah. And I think that longevity, at least to me, is important. Even like, you know, you have a game like Battlefront. At some point, you're not going to be able to play anymore.
And Corey, you spent all that money on that, and you invested in that. Like, now you can't play it. You know, what do you do? Exactly.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
How long will it be? Like, yeah, Battlefront, I'm sure they're not going to cut the servers as soon as Battlefront 2 comes out like they used to do for 2K. They used to cut them like the next day for basketball games. They used to cut them immediately. So I'm positive they won't do that. But, you know, like I said, at some point, that sucks. It sucks.
Yeah.
And I feel it's so easy to look back and be like, you know, games are so expensive now. But for the most part, you do get a great value on a lot of games, you know.
But it depends on the market. It depends, like Call of Duty. That's a great game as long as you can play online. Yeah, the moment you can't play that online, you lose all your value.
That campaign is maybe 4 hours, 5.
Some of them, if that, yeah.
Between 5, I would say between 4 and 6 hours. Those campaigns, you can blitz through them quick, but they are good.
Oh, they're amazing. Some of them are amazing.
I think Call of Duty, as far as campaigns go, like the first Modern Warfare, just completely on another level.
Oh yeah, completely.
You know what I mean? Like, this is our standard now for shooter campaigns, and no one really has lived up to it. Gears is good and it's fun, but they haven't gotten that cinematic, ridiculous experience that Call of Duty.
I think because it's not real, you know. Not to digress so much, but it's not so real, you know. Whereas Call of Duty, it feels real, except for it being space, you know. But that's a whole other thing.
Right.
But it's kind of hard to say too, because Call of Duty and any sports game, you pay and you buy it for the year. Call of Duty does not last more than a year.
It's expensive.
Basketball, until the next one comes out, and you have to buy that. You know, like you can't play an old Call of Duty. You can't play NBA 2K14. You know, like you have to go play whatever the most recent one is, because that's what everyone's playing, you know. So that's why I guess they take the servers off. They're only committing to, you know, people playing NBA 2K14 are 20,000 people. Well, we're not paying for them to play anymore. You go buy the new game.
Yeah. And I mean, and that's, it sucks that they would do that to people who maybe just don't want the new one yet.
Yeah.
You know,
I paid $60 for this game. Let me play it.
And it really wasn't like a week or like a month that they would do it. Like, some people didn't buy it yet. They literally just didn't buy it yet, and they can't play with their friends until
they get paid yet. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for real. Like, that's wild to me. That's wild to me. But from a content overall from a content perspective, you look at an Atari game that you might have paid $25 for. At the time, you might have got a lot of enjoyment out of it. You know what I mean? A game like Adventure was tough. Multiplayer games back then specifically, like, you might have played those games for a while. You might have played Combat with your brother for 3 or 4 hours a day.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
You know,
Pong. I played hours of Pong, and that game was super old by the time